Hi, my name is Marguerite Tabato, and I am the Assistant Director of CVI Assessment and Intervention here at Perkins School for the Blind. In this video, we're going to be discussing the Perkins CVI assessment area of visual curiosity. In this assessment area, we look at the incidental axis of the student. In new and unfamiliar environments, visual curiosity in all fields and visual curiosity at a distance is determined. Vision is a distance sense, meaning we don't have to physically engage with something in order to observe it and learn from it. When vision becomes reduced, so does access to information and learning. I'd like to take a minute now to share a quote from the CVI literature as it relates to visual curiosity. Vision fundamentally facilitates learning, leading to knowledge, skills, and traits that will shape the child's personality and cognition. If children with CVI are not identified, an appropriate measures taken to ensure that all educational input is visible or rendered accessible by alternative means, they cannot learn within any domain limited by their unique pattern of visual impairment. Chakran and Dutton, 2016. Here's a bit more about what we know from the research. Vision has a fundamental role in a child's visual development, and CVI can compromise learning, behavioral development, and interaction with the outside world. Visual experiences are the first involved in the development of mental representations, which are critical for the development of concepts and abstraction. And environmental factors that can be potential barriers to perception, attention, and learning need to be adjusted in ways that turn them into potential learning supports. When we look at visual curiosity, we're really thinking about the collective impact that all CVI visual behaviors have on access to information. So this could be impacted by motion in the environment. Is there too much motion? It could be impacted by noise, if there's too much commotion, especially in an unfamiliar environment. It could be impacted by the distance that information is presented at. It could be impacted by access to people as far as facial recognition or the ability to interpret body language or facial expressions. There are so many different areas that a child can be impacted in, and we have to consider all of them when we're thinking about how we're going to provide or evaluate access to information. When visual curiosity is reduced by CVI, the child may have challenges visually understanding what's around them and what it means. They might have difficulties making inferences and generalizations. They may be less likely to explore surroundings, especially if unfamiliar. They might use vision to make assumptions as to how things and people relate to them. They might have trouble making inferences from social interactions, so facial expressions and body language. Reduced interest in looking at or engaging with things that are less familiar. Or they might have difficulty noticing and recognizing objects and people at varying distances. In this slide, I have a photograph of a little boy standing outside a circle of people looking in at them. The number one goal in assessment is to identify how that child learns best and to provide opportunities for access. Incidental learning can often become limited in individuals with CVI, but that does not mean learning is limited. There are many instructional strategies to make information available. Some examples include multisensory learning, having variation in learning media that could be visual, auditory, or tactual, providing changes to the environment as needed, and all the while supporting sensory efficiency and compensatory strategies as they're identified and further developed. There are many compensatory strategies that individuals with CVI might use in order to gain information. Some examples might include tactile exploration, sound cues, verbal cues, color coding, context, or reliance on predictability and organization. On this slide, I have a photograph of a little girl in a blue and red swing, and next to her there's also a blue and red slide. An example of a compensatory strategy in order to access a scene like this might include remembering where the slide is located or where the swing is located in order to find it. We all learn from watching, listening, and doing, and an individual with CVI might benefit from direct teaching to help build stronger concepts and visual understanding. Hands-on experiences can also help individuals learn how parts relate to a whole. And having these experiences and a broader understanding of deeper concepts will help individuals tackle future information. Our experiences drive our learning. On this slide, I have a photograph of a little boy. He's leaning close to a banana on a black mat. The banana is partially sliced, and he's responsible for the slicing as his hand is on the knife and his mother's hand is on top of his. This is a great example of having hands-on meaningful experiences. The little boy is being given visual access, and being able to see that a whole banana can be sliced into little pieces. If the banana had been previously sliced and served to him in slices, he would have missed that incidental information and understanding the concept of a banana and how his snack came to be. Here's another example. Using vision and our past visual experiences, we can make determinations and assumptions about what we see. On this slide, I have a photograph of a young girl and a woman. They're at eye level with one another and they're facing one another. The little girl is holding a vase of flowers in between them. From using my past visual experiences, I can look at this photograph and I can determine the number of people, the head and body positioning, relative age, and the object and object positioning. All of this visual information helps me put together a story and to understand what might be occurring within this photograph. If you have CVI and your visual curiosity is reduced, you might need some direct teaching or explanation as to what's occurring. You'll also need some skills around compensatory strategies in order to understand the implications of social situations. And here's a quote of a parent of a child with CVI around their child's reduced visual curiosity. My daughter sees better up close. There are things that have been in our home for her entire life that she hasn't noticed. And then one day she will discover it as though it's brand new. Here's some current research and literature as it relates to visual curiosity. At Perkins, we believe that every child with CVI is teachable and every child has a right to a meaningful and accessible education.